Okay, my friends, shocker du jour, again, forever, and this is about ancient Neanderthals. And they're saying that the new fossil evidence challenges long-held beliefs about Neanderthal origins. Well, what is it that they did believe, and what challenges it? What changed? Let's take a look at it. I'll try to explain what their interpretation of it is. Quite a long article. It's quite long. And it goes through a lot of little details here and there. But the point is it challenges the common assumption of a bottleneck event at the origin of the Neanderthal lineage. So we're Homo sapiens. Neanderthal is like a different type of bipedal Homo sapien. It's just less advanced, I guess they would say. But primarily it's a primate like us, like a chimpanzee and so forth. Only they would say human beings are much more advanced and more intelligent, and they were sort of like ape-like. Let's just think about it in that terms. That's what my feeling is about that. I could be wrong, but I think that's the way they are portraying it. Let's look at what it challenges and what they thought, and what my evidence about my fossils shows and needs to be examined in the light of all of these things that they're starting to realize. We missed a lot of stuff. So it challenges. Everything's being challenged now, so let's challenge. Okay, my friends, I'm just going to start it right off with the fact that Neanderthals were not some big, huge thing in the past. There was all kinds of things prior to Neanderthals. And I believe Neanderthals were after the Great Flood. We've got to look into where they lay in the Triassic era. All right, I believe they're above the Triassic. If that's the case, that's after the Great Flood. I have things that are from the Great Flood. I am in the Triassic zone, the best Triassic zone in the world. They date all history by the exact region that I am in, right down the street from me. I am in the exposed Triassic layer, exposed. This is where they did all the research. All the dinosaur footprints are all up in here, Dinosaur State Park, and because it's right here at the surface. It's a very, very well studied red bed, gray clay, black cap, and I have all those things right here, and everything I have came from the surface of the earth. I didn't have to dig literally at all for this stuff. It's right here because it's exposed Triassic. This is the Triassic. Now, I'm going to show you the things that I have here. I've shown them a bazillion times as gigantic hair follicles from gigantic creatures. And this was all the things that were written in the ancient texts. There's things I have here that are from creatures we don't know about. And I want to see my stuff DNA tested. They're talking about doing all this genetic testing. We're really interested in the genetics of this and that. I can't get anybody to do this. I've drilled holes in these to get deep inside to get the stuff tested, and nobody will test it because of my claims of giants and all the other things that I claim. But I have the evidence to support that. I have 3 DNA tests, and the guy that did the test said I will stand behind him 100%. They were exactly what he said they are. And what I did is I sent him a sample. So if I drilled into here, which I didn't send him a sample of this, I can't get anybody to test this. And he doesn't want to test any more of the stuff either. I don't blame him. It's everybody attacks you because, they must have done something wrong. They must have done something wrong. No, I didn't do anything wrong. I went deep inside, and he said the quality of the DNA was excellent and it was dense. And I go right into the red blood areas. And here's one of the, hold on. Here it is right here. Oh, hold on. I have a little microphone failure. Hold on. All right, here we go. This was one of the tests right here. It's a human DNA, human lung. And this is the pleura. That's the rubber bag that coated that lung. That's the depression right there of where the heart was. You see how flat it is? Almost all my stuff died laying flat, boiled out of its bodily tissue in heavy saltwater silicates in extremely hot water. And this is a basin area. It's soaked like it was in a tub. And by the time you're done, you just got a flat thing laying like this. Now this is actually saturated with blood. If I put water on there, put it in a microscope, you see just blood run out right out of it. And I drill into these to get the samples. I don't take them off the surface. They say, oh, you swipe it off. Of course you're going to have it. I go, rub it. Yes. You drill in there, you don't have it. And this is red blood. This, if I showed it, and I have shown it a million times, I'm not going to fire up the microscope. But if you just put water on it, you can see it change. Blood rehydrates very quickly. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but that's turning red. If I put that in a microscope, you'd see it. So actually turns red blood, because that's the investment spot of the lung. Right down there is where it gets really red and bloody. But this was tested, DNA tested, and it can be done again. I'm not doing it. I paid for it once. I'm not paying for it again. You see, it's even right down here is real red. And that didn't even get wet. So anyway, and then I've got bones that go back to, this is from the pre-flood. These are nucleophilically substitution and invasion. And the outside is feldspar, which is aluminum silicates, which boils down from the membranes, which are made from phospholipids, phosphorus, boils down to aluminum silicates. That's what happens. So that, and all of that, everything here you see, except this, I'm not sure whether that's got, this is a fractured piece of meat. But these have aluminum silicates, fascia on them. All of this stuff has fascia on it. Everything you see there. And which is aluminum silicates, feldspar. That one I don't think is. I think this is a fractured piece after the fascia has protected it so well, and then it fractured out of a bigger piece. But it is flat on the bottom. I don't know. Some of this stuff is hard to tell exactly how it formed, but I got so many different things that show, and this is the Triassic zone, the best Triassic zone in the world, and the world events in history are dated on the stuff that basically came off my property, right down the street. And there's all kinds of things here that they can't explain and they don't want to look at. I have a human footprint in the triple layer, which is the red bed, the gray clay, and a black cap. And that gray clay is pushed down through the red bed. It all happened at the same time. They were both wet at the same time. And then a black cap came on top. So these are the things that should be examined. It's nice to know about the Neanderthals. This is a new study challenges the theory Neanderthals originated after an evolutionary event implied the loss of part of their genetic diversity. And they're going back 250,000 years. Well, this is the things we need to talk about. Right? They're talking about DNA. However, recent paleontologists are analyzing DNA from fossils. Well, will they analyze the DNA from our fossils? I have a guy that will pay for it. Andre says he'll pay for it if somebody will do it. And we haven't been able to find anybody to do it. So, and these are the people right here. A study led by Alessandro from whatever that is. This just got these too many letters, and their researchers measured the morphological diversity. I'd like to see what's the diversity of this thing. And some of my giants, which I've already had them DNA tested, but all I had them DNA tested for was a mitochondrial DNA, which proves that it was human or not human. That was it. But it was a sophisticated study, and it said it was excellent quality DNA, so I should think that I can get some more. And this is all about the findings of, and challenging or confirming, and study findings revealed in morphology diversified, and But it challenges the common assumption of a bottleneck, whatever that means. All I want to do is challenge the common assumption of Neanderthals and no-toes. And I've got other ones, not just this one. And the other ones are not, they're feet, but they're not even close to like this. We got the spring-toed one. We got another one I call a Oompa Loompa. This is from the Great Flood. I'm sorry, that's what it is. And I think my evidence, complete evidence, the DNA, the CAT scans, the specimens, figured out all the transition of the molecules and how phosphorus boils down to the aluminum silicates, which the silicates, aluminum silicates are boiled down from phosphorus. But in addition, there was more silicates that came up from the ocean floor, because the ocean floor is dense with a siliceous ooze. It's a goo, like a gooey blob down at the bottom of the ocean. The reason is silicon is 2.5 times heavier than water. It just sinks. And it was at the bottom of the ocean and stays there, and it's there now. And when we got hit by the Venus impact almost, which skimmed off our atmosphere, it wrenched everything. Okay, my friends, this is going to be interesting. They're showing the Stenosaurus, which is a dragon-looking thing, and it is in gray clay. All right, now there was a time, the red bed, the gray clay, and a black cat. It looks like this creature and some other things he's going to show were here at that extinction time, and they just died and were perfectly preserved because of the red bed and then the gray clay, and the black cap was a very quick series of events because of the Great Flood. And when they drowned or boiled, literally, because it was an impact of the gigantic meteor, which actually turned out to be Venus, almost hit the Earth and caused all of this turmoil around the Earth and boiled literally the oceans. And Harvard just had an article about it. Yes, they say the oceans did boil and created the Great Dying. And it did, everywhere on Earth. Now, I happen to be in a zone that the Great Dying layer is at the top surface, and I just pick things up off giant creatures too, like this hair follicle. That's a hair follicle. That's the erector pili muscle, sebaceous gland, the shaft, the root, and the tube, artery, and vein at the bottom. It's nucleophilically transitioned because of the waters and the heat and the silicon, sodium, and all that was in there during this boiling event. Now, he's going to be pointing out certain things. I'm going to stop it here and there because, first of all, we're going to take a look at the layering, and then we're going to take a look at the actual creature itself. And then he's going to show like a crab trying to hide or run away, and it finally just died, as they all did at this particular time. It was called a Great Dying. Almost everything on Earth died. And this was the Triassic extinction period. And my stuff is all Triassic, and I have a human footprint in the Triassic rock in the middle of it. So it shows that all three layers were wet at the same time, which indicates it was the Great Flood. And it's worldwide. It's not just one place or another. So it was a worldwide Great Flood event gray clay, the red bed, which is the boiled fleshy stuff. And then on top of that came the gray clay, which is the body parts and bodies and whatever floaty stuff. And then on top of that came the black cap, which was the fallout of all the nasty stuff that was falling through the skies from volcanism and fires and everything else. And that laid on top. So those are the 3 layers. Now, he's in the middle layer where the creatures died and they're part of the gray clay. All right, I'm going to let this play through once, uninterrupted. And it's saying, answering the questions that go beyond, and this is not fake, they claim, the exact reason this Stenosaurus and other fossils get perfectly preserved. They're going to explain the reason. Now, here goes.
Yes, come to the museum and they see this Stenosaurus and say, that must be a fake, it must be a copy, because how can this thing be the real specimen? But yet it is. For over 160 million years, this guy's had time to break down, decay, but yet it has every bone, every scoot, and even here, some kind of gut organ, something. We're still debating that. The point is, today when a whale dies, it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, then hagfish, scavengers, everything's come at it and they eat it apart. This guy is still here. Well, to be a fossil, you need 3 things. Quick burial, low energy environment, and no oxygen. We can prove that here with his friend over here. I'm moonwalking. So here we have trace fossils, footprints from an animal similar to a horseshoe crab, and it is crawling through the mud. And trace fossils are always underappreciated because they're just footprints, they're just droppings or whatever, but this is telling a story because this area had no oxygen. And when this horseshoe crab walked into the area and realized that, it turned around and tried to run out, and it did not make it. We've actually found some in Germany where they actually spire because they're running the situation, they're panicking this moment. This is this animal's last action before it died. So it tells us there's no oxygen at the lower level. Why is that important? Without oxygen, you don't have scavengers and things down there. So all the little animals that we eating the whale are not eating our croc friend. Now you say, well, how do you know the environment's low energy? I'm glad you asked. Over here, we'll see not this guy, but his other neighbor, the coelacanth. And this guy has not the fossil itself, but next to it, a trace fossil called a coprolite. That is fossilized poop from a squid. Imagine the theater of your mind, you're taking some toothpaste, you're squeezing it, and it's falling straight down into one spot. That's showing you it's a low energy environment. The animal's pooping straight down instead of being smeared like this by the current. So again, that croc over there is preserved really well because low energy environment, no scavengers. So unlike our modern whales, this guy can live forever and ever and ever. So my guest asked me, is this real? I say, you bet your sweet bottom. Let's roll out.
Okay, that's what we got. All right, this is the Triassic mass extinction, wiping virtually everything off the face of the planet. And especially all the large reptiles previously grouped together as stichodonts disappeared, as did most of the large amphibians, the reptiles and all. They just wiped them right off the face of the planet. That was the intention, to wipe off all the gigantic creatures, and it did. Okay, as I have shown a million times, I have a gray clay footprint pushed down through the red bed, and then the black cap came on top. All 3 layers, I have all 3 of them right here in my shop. And this is gray clay, this is red bed, and this is the black cap that was on top. They all 3 were wet at the same time. This is the evidence that supports it was a great boiling hot salt water, worldwide, devastating flood. It boiled the creatures that were on the land and in the ocean, and they boiled out the red fleshy stuff, turned it into mud, and then the gray clay was bits and pieces and sometimes bodies, as I showed you, those dinosaur-looking things, reptiles, landed in the gray clay. This was a human footprint in that red gray clay. And then the black cap came on top. Now the stuff they show at that museum is basically exactly like this, only it's a creature that is sunk into the gray clay. I guess I'll leave it at that. I've shown this so many times, I'm just going to keep showing it until somebody pays attention and we get some reality in our life, like this gigantic hair follicle, 2 inches wide. Now, I am in the world's best Triassic area, where it's exposed Triassic. It's above the ground. I didn't have to even dig for this stuff. That's a hair follicle from a giant creature. I don't know what kind of creature it was, but I can tell you that that is where the erector pili muscle attached to make the hair do this and that. That's the shaft coming up the top, right there. That little globby looking thing is the sebaceous gland. This is the root coming down to where it starts at the bottom, and those two little spots right there, those two, are the papillae at the bottom. This is 2 inches wide, much bigger than what we have now. All the things I have shown, I can stand behind, and I have material evidence to support. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But my stuff comes from the Triassic era, and it's all flat as a pancake, most of it on one side, and some of it's DNA tested, as is this human lung. It's human, Homo sapien, dense, excellent quality DNA, flat as a pancake, boiled out of a creature's body. Excuse me. And that's where the heart was. It lay like this, dead, and boiled, and it literally, the fascia and the pleura, which is the coating, facilitated the fossilization. My paper from 2015, it's on academia.edu, it's called Fascia Facilitated Fossilization. And that fascia is collagens. Collagen lets the stuff come through, and it solidified and petrified exceptionally with soft tissues. And it's because of the transition metals primarily. They have a lot of polarity to them, so they can attach in a variety of different ways, this whole series of transition metals. In certain cases. In other cases, it was a different story. But it's a deep story. Let's go with that. I'm just going to leave it at this for now. But the creatures I showed you were in the gray clay, which was above the red bed. They died, and they tried to find a place, and they died. Now, they got boiled, or whatever happened to them. He showed a little crab running around like this, and it just died there. He thought it was lost oxygen. I say it probably boiled to death. But who knows? It was right on that layer, and above it is the black cap. I'd say he probably got cooked. Okay, I'm going to leave it at this, but I'm going to tell you right now, my human footprint is in the same layer as this, which is in the Triassic gray clay. And there's other things they haven't taken into account, is the cooking of these creatures. They were boiled. Now, some places cooked more than others. Some places, completely separated the organs and so forth. This seems to have the organs and so forth still intact. It was probably not cooked as complete, but it's still sunk into the gray clay. I'm going to leave it at that for now. It's a time to take a whole new approach to literally everything that we have been told makes you smart if you say these things again. Like we had this error and that error and 50 million years and 200 million years here, sediment. No. Almost all of it is layers of tissue from gigantic creatures. So it's time to take that into consideration. At least examine. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But I don't think it's wrong, and I don't think anybody can disprove it, and that's why they won't take it up for consideration. It changes literally everything that academia has told you is true. And because it's not going to support them, they won't allow it to be said. I can't put out papers. They won't allow me to publish. They will not peer review me, so they say, you're not peer reviewed, so you can't publish. I said, well, will you peer review me? No, we won't. And that's been going on 15 years. So it's time either stand up and say something, or it's absolutely ridiculous now. And it's especially the scientific stuff that we're paying from the science foundations and so forth. Billions and billions and billions of dollars just given out to people that are not doing their job. So again, I hate to keep going down that road, but that's the road we're on. All right, I love you all. let's get off that road. Let's get to get something for our money. Let's start thinking about things. This is not just a curiosity. This is possibly something to do with eternity. It certainly changes everything about evolution and all that stuff. And basically everything you've heard about history. All right, so thank you. I love you all. Let's get this straightened out. Thank you. Bye.